And when you travel around the country, you start to recognize cities are relevant. We're back. Whether it's a small town or a large town, we're relevant again. We stand for something. We in this room represent our state. This makes the state run. There's no economic development that's going to happen in Oregon unless it happens generally within the borders of people in this room. So as we start into this new world with technology and people working at home and so forth, we have the ability now to start to plan, to say that we need to be ready when these things occur in cities, and we can't afford to have the tattered looks of our downtowns and so forth. But reflect for me just a minute. If I said that I was coming to visit your city, picture, if you would, that person in your city that you would like me to meet, because they are the ones, the spark plug that says, this is our city and welcome to our city. How many in the room immediately when I said that can picture someone you'd like me to meet in your city? You look around. Now, if you would, picture that person in your city that you'd say, I hope Jim doesn't run into in my city. How many of you automatically came up with? All right, that is the business we're in. We lead cities, but really the impressions of our cities comes in many cases from our staffs, from people that work with the public on a daily basis. And attitude is something that if we aren't impacting it, it doesn't work all by itself. When folks are left to their own devices, in some cases their attitudes fall short of what we want in our cities to represent our cities. And one of the things that city halls that pops in my mind is walking up to the front door of City Hall, and I will walk past a parking space and it says, reserved for the mayor. I'll see another parking space, reserved for finance director. I'll see another parking space, reserved for city clerk. I'll see 4 parking spaces, reserved for city council, police chief, fire chief, whatever. And you look there, and in the prime parking spots that we walk into City Hall are reserved for the people inside. And I ask you, as city officials, who do we serve? The citizens. And when a citizen walks in and sees that, does that affect their attitude in some, maybe small way, but does it affect their attitude? Sometimes it does. To prove that this will really change the way it operates, tell me in this room, raise your hands if you must, but the last time you visited a very high-end mall, and it has stores like Macy's and all of the, I don't shop at the big ones, so you'll have to help me, but all the high-end, very expensive shops. Have you ever seen a parking space next to the opening of the mall that says manager of the department store? Have you ever seen it? Never. And why is that? Is this not because these folks, they pay a ton of rent into these malls. They support the mall. But guess what? They view the customer as the person who needs to park closest to get in to have access to their stores. When a person comes to work at a mall, one of their first orientations is what? And many of you know this. Don't park in the good parking places, right? You park as far away from the door as you can. So when you go back to your cities, most of you have sign departments or can arrange to have signs printed. Print up 7 or 8 signs that says reserved parking for our citizens, and put those right next to the front door of City Hall. And see in the next following weeks that that is not one of the most talked about additions to your City Hall, where people says, wow, I know the mayor could have had this for himself, but I get to park in the prime parking and then look way over under the tree that's putting the leaves down, and it says mayor's parking or council parking. And when you do that, it starts to work towards citizen-focused government. It starts to show your citizens that they're the reason you're there. You're there because they ask you to serve and to represent them, but your head didn't explode and you're saying, this is my time to shine. I want the limo from City Hall to the departments. And when you do this, it will literally change the attitude, start to change the attitude in your city. But one thing I would, and I went over last night the list of cities in Oregon, that they're unique, but even there I'd asked the mayor of Portland, is Portland unique? Yes, it is. In Oregon, it's very unique. It's the only Portland. In the United States, there's many Portlands. And if your website, which I visited Portland's, and it very correctly says, welcome to the city of Portland, Oregon, but we recognize that in today's times, most of the people visiting your towns for the first time visits on the web. If you're hiring somebody for your company that lives in California or Utah, when they tell their family, I got a job in Salem, that family's next step is not to drive up to Salem, it's to type it in and say, what is this town? So you're getting people that are looking at your community, but you're also getting people that look and reject your community based upon the complicated nature that some of our websites put out. So when you look at it, when you go back to your towns, go onto your website and see if you're with the city of Salem, whether that's Salem, Oregon, or is it Salem, West Virginia, which is about 10 miles from my home. And if somebody's looking to move or to invest dollars, are they able to distinguish your community and not come up with 30 confusing links that comes out because they can't navigate and they find out that the new business they're going to put in Portland, that they've been looking at the Portland, Maine website and looking at their demographics. When I say that to you, it's something that more of us do wrong than right. It's a very simple adjustment to things, but please take a look at that and see if you're consistent with what is happening. Years from now, when your children and grandchildren and friends and families and people in your town that you care about, when they walk up to that mural, don't you wish they'd say, this is an amazing city? Thank you very much.